You did important mission for the UPR review for Vietnam. So she cannot join us in person, but she happy to join us over Skype, and connection will start. And we have another 3 panelists that will present their experience and the issue. The right next to me is Tessa Melvin, the independent research that gonna talk about the access to the power in the electricity power in the way Myanmar. And next one is Mok Sabirin. He's experienced the active NGO who work with the Tindang community on the Tindang movement that related to the mining in the, let him explain better. And last but not least, Vinci Usun from Barangkini. She will present the experience from the Barang community, that how multi-pronged approach can help to successful of the anti-dam in Malaysia. So this is our 4th speaker. I would like to start from the first one, the Tran V. Hi Tran, hi V, are you ready?
Hello.
Yeah. We will present about the experience of the Vietnam in the case of Formosa, which is how the social media and cyber activism play a pretty much role to create the public sphere and to try to fighting on the case of the Formosa. I think it's quite big case. You're probably already aware about this, but anyway, I think we will give you more detail on this. Okay, then let me give you the floor. Hi.
All right. Hello everyone. Hello Joe. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but it's good to try to do this. This is my first time doing a presentation like this over Skype. I did prepare some slides about the Formosa incident, and I think I would like to talk a bit in details about the events that leading up to the big protest and ultimately an apology from Formosa and the settlement Formosa Corporation had given to Vietnamese people. This was all done by social media and Facebook. And it started in April 2016 with some very minor news on a local newspaper that some fisherman was discovering a pipe under the ocean in their area. And this was back in a small district called Kỳ Anh district in Hà Tĩnh province. But that was the location where the Formosa Corporation and they built a steel plant in that area for the last, I think they started back in 2012. And by 2016 it was supposed to start running. But anyways, people started, the fishermen found a pipe under the water, and the pipe seems like they were pumping substances into the water. So that was the small news on the local newspaper. But then by early April, a week after that news broke, where nobody paid attention much, by April 11, fish started to die around that area. And the people started to take pictures and start posting them on Facebook. And the government at first, official news from the government was probably it was some disease, some toxic agent in the water caused by algae and whatnot. So that was the first reaction. But then by April 24th, a diver in that very area died mysteriously in a hospital. He was one of the people that were hired by a contractor of Formosa to do some work under the water. I think it got to do something with that very pipe. But anyway, he died mysteriously, and that news got on social media as well. So people started to get really panicked about seeing pictures of mass fish die on the coast of some of the area, and also a person supposedly died. So the news started to spread virally in Vietnam. But what really added the fuel that was added to this whole fire was a statement from the person who was representing Formosa County at the time. It became a very famous saying in Vietnam, and that this person, Châu Chun Phan, he was having an interview with the largest newspaper in Vietnam, Tuổi Trẻ, and he supposedly said, well, the Vietnamese people have to choose between fish or steel. You cannot continue, if you want to catch fish or you want to build a modern steel industry. And that very phrase, choose fish or choose steel, had angered the entire nation. People was very angry. And the answer was, of course, we chose fish. So that started to getting some steam on social media. People were spreading that more wildly. And it actually forced the local officials in these provinces to call for urgent meeting and start to do some analysis of the water to answer to the people that is this a toxic spill or not. And fish continue to die, by the way. So this is the point where a lot of civil society and activists stepped in, because the local people, they could only raise the issue and they took pictures to post online, but you need someone who actually could go really in there and see the situation and wanted to find out what really happened. So we actually organized trips and went in there to assist the victim. We brought rice, we brought equipment to come in there and interview people to get more information. And around this time, at the end of April 2016, call to nationwide protests started to circulate online, because it doesn't seem like either Formosa or the government was taking us seriously. So a lot of coordinating efforts were being made, both inside and outside the country, to raise issues. A lot of prominent bloggers began to start calling for not really a boycott, but really against Formosa, and started to say we may have to protest. So by April 26, 2016, the person from Formosa who said choose fish or choose steel, he made a public apology, and that's what the first public apology by Formosa. However, it was too late. By April 28, protests broke out in the area by the local fishermen. About a few hundred fishermen in a commune in one of the districts, in one of the provinces affected by this, started to protest. And they protest for 3 days, the 28th, 29th, and 30th, and demand the government to, get Formosa out of Vietnam. And the protest was quite large because they were blocking traffic on the national highway. So Vietnam is a country with a big national highway connecting north and south. So they blocked a traffic section there. Actually, it's very effective. A lot of the protests in the local areas in these poor provinces of Vietnam, what people do is actually to block the national highway. And that would raise a lot of attention because then people cannot travel. But by May 1st was the first nationwide protest in all of the major cities in Vietnam, and thousands of people went on demonstration. And this is probably the protest. A lot of pictures were taken, and people were very angry. I just want to add that the reason the whole country went crazy about Formosa because Vietnam had been a country that relied heavily on the ocean for our survival. In our culture, the seafood, the fish sauce, the salt, everything in our daily lives depended heavily on the ocean. And people did not see it as just, a toxic spill in the local area. They saw it as a potentially disaster that could spread across the whole country, because we are a coastal country. Out one side of Vietnam is technically just the ocean. So people were really angry because the government was not doing any sufficient report, not declaring a national disaster where fish died, fishermen couldn't go fishing, and the whole country was in panic. To add more fuel to the anger, the government's official answer was the sea has been safe, it is okay. It was just a local incident. The ocean is safe. You guys should just go back eating fish like normally. So they did not take that very well. So the May 1st was the first protest. The weekend after, May 8th, people went to protest again, and it's continued to be a nationwide, with thousands of people. However, this time they faced with some really harsh suppression, even in the city. So people were being up by the police, they got arrested, they were taken into custody and locked up for 2-3 days. A lot of people were actually arrested and detained. And what happened is this probably starting the train of protests when regular people got arrested, and they came back and they wrote about these incidents on social media, showing they're not afraid, and they were very angry that they were somehow arrested wrongfully because they were just protesting against a foreign company. And then so the whole month of May, it was actually smaller protests broke out in a lot of areas, especially the affected areas. And this is when it became international news. The Office of the United Nations Commission on Human Rights, the OHCHR in Bangkok, were actually, had a statement that they were worrying about the increased violence against the demonstrator. The Special Rapporteur at the time for the right to peaceful assembly and association also spoke out in support of the demonstration. So because of this nationwide protest and anger, and it was all done online by social media and independent news, but the government and the state news, some of them started to pay attention to the story, and it got picked up by national media as well. And this is when it became even more awareness. There was celebrity that went on talk show and demand answer. So it's starting to get more public attention, and people were really pushing either Formosa or the Vietnamese government to give us like a valid answer. And by June, the Taiwanese media and activists also became very aware, because Formosa is actually a huge polluter in Taiwan, and they've been fighting against the Formosa Corporation in Taiwan for so long. So when they learned what happened in Vietnam, they stepped in and they offered help. So a group of the public channel, television public channel in Taiwan actually came to Vietnam and did a documentary with the help of Vietnamese activists. So when they came back to Taiwan and put this documentary on TV, more people became aware of what happened. So that put pressure on the Formosa Corporation in its hometown, in Taiwan, and also in the country. So by, excuse me, I have to listen my voice, but then we finally get a formal apology from Formosa after all of that demand and pressures. That was also in June of 2016. So you can see it was only in 2 months, but they managed to, the Vietnamese people managed to get a big corporation, a huge polluter in their own country, to formally apologize. But because they quickly apologized and offered $500 million for compensation, we feared that the harm that it caused was actually even more than that. like they are trying to pay and apologize quickly to preventing us from keep on pushing. So from then until now, protests still broke out because the compensation money did not get to the victims. A lot of unanswered questions still being out there, like the diver who died from the beginning. Nobody really investigated on the cause. They tried to silence his family. There are medical concerns for many people in the affected area that we're still trying to help and get the answer from. So, in the last 2 years, protests have been broken in and out of the area, and but then also it sets a very good example for the regular people to come out and protest. So it showed again this year we have another mass protest in Vietnam, all formed on social media. This time it's not even involved any big any organization or any activist to start. So it really, through all of this, the people really learned how to use social media effectively to raise awareness of what happened in their local area and start getting others from different parts of the country to unite with them and fight with them. And that's how nationwide protests in Vietnam sort of take place every time. So I probably would end my discussion here. I just going to demonstrate the fact that within 2 months, it's all done by the people that Formosa was actually make the formal apology.
Thank you very much, Uri. Stay with us for a few minutes. For the audience have some question or comments. Any have this thing to the question on this Formosa case or the experience from Vietnam? Okay, I think otherwise I would like to, it's quite impressive how like a very quick response from the Vietnamese people, and the case is still continue, and from what I know there is no center of the movement because you use the social media. So how these things can happen, and the momentum is still continue for like several years. Until now, I think you still campaign or lobby on this case, yeah?
Yes. I think even though there is no particular groups that behind the organization of this activism, the important thing is, I think, that Vietnamese people have been using the internet for a long time. Internet was introduced in Vietnam since 1997. So I would say we having the young generation were growing up with the internet, and especially social media. So social media is very effective in Vietnam for people to connect and to support each other's cause. And it started from smaller things until Formosa. So there are very much prominent bloggers, some celebrities. So when these people continue to support the cause and continue to raise awareness, for Vietnamese people, it's very easy for them to keep connecting and keep the fight going. Also because food safety issue is is a hot topic in Vietnam. It's not just Formosa and the fish, but it's food safety in general. So people are still very wary about the food supplies that we have. And because of this, the relatively open and free internet, people could read a lot of information. They learned about all this, industrial pollution everywhere. So they are very aware what technology, what industrialization could do to the environment and to our health. And also during the last 2 years, the Vietnamese government arrested a lot of people and put a lot of people in jail. Yes, it seems like suppression, but at the same time, it actually gave the cause more awareness. Because then people would have to question, why would he send this blogger to jail for 10 years, for 14 years? What did he or she do? And it all led to, oh, they blogged about Formosa. They wrote about what happened. So I think that would also keep the fight going, because this sense of injustice is still there. And the people still need help. They still don't have adequate compensation. There are still medical issues they're facing. And yet they see people who spoke up or who tried to speak up for them got sentenced to these very harsh sentences, I have to say, in the past 2 years. So that's to keep the, I think, keep the fight going.
Okay, yes. Manfred, sure.
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Manfred from the Management Foundation for this very impressive presentation. I want to come back to what you mentioned about the risk, not only you, but also the community, mainly the communities, but also the bloggers are facing in raising these issues. And my question to you is, how do you actually do your risk assessment? How do you know when to go out, when you have to be quiet, or the whole setup of you being a public figure and going out with this news, not only in Vietnam, but also internationally?
Was that a question for me? I didn't hear it well.
Basically, you were pointing at all the risks you're facing, you, the communities. You refer to the bloggers, the increased arrests of bloggers in the last 2 years in Vietnam. And I just wanted to know how you prepare, your public relations work, going out, talking about these issues. How do you do your risk management? With whom can you consult? And how do you prepare for being a person in the public sphere, so to speak?
Can you guys?
Is the question regarding the risk we're facing for speaking up against these?
Yeah.
issues?
About the risk assessment, and the public relation, how you manage, who will be the public figure to go out and to be, basically about the risk assessment of risk.
Closed society. So people who do this work do accept it as part of our life. We try our best not to, get the local people exposed, and we're preventing the harms for the victims we're trying to help. But for the activist side, I think it had become a common understanding that our government would use arbitrary laws to arrest us, to block our website, to stop us from traveling and talk about these issues. So it is part of our life. We do try to minimize it. One of it is, we never use Formosa as yes, we ask for accountability, but it's more from the Formosa side than the government. So it is framing as we're trying to fight a foreign corporation that came to Vietnam and polluting our ocean. We're not directly attacking government or the government officials, but that doesn't mean that they don't see it that way, So it is there. We try our best not to get arrested, I guess. But the reality of working on these issues in Vietnam is if they come for you, they do. And if they want to give you, they arrested Mother Mushroom for writing about Formosa, and they call it propaganda against the state. The law in Vietnam is very loosely defined and arbitrarily defined, so that's the risk that we have to accept. For the more prominent speaker, so it is, I guess we minimize it to the local victims, the local activists, our colleagues who are not too well known and too prominent. They can do their work safely, but there are certain people who already have a high profile, and those people work with an understanding that if they right now the political prisoners in Vietnam and they release 2 or 3, they probably come and take 2 or 3 of us. It is sad, but unfortunately, I don't see any other way to neutralize that. If either you speak up or you don't. So even for this time I'm in Geneva for the Youth Rugby session, some of us came with an understanding that But when we came back, we would get questioned by the Vietnamese government. They may stop you from traveling again, and it's just how things are in Vietnam right now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, We. I hope you will be success in the mission in Geneva. And thank you. I will let you free for work there. Give her a round of applause.
Hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. We run out of time a little bit, but we try to continue. We still have like the mock sovereign. Our friends from Indonesia will talk about the opportunities and challenge of the public sphere. Lesson learned from Kendang movement to protect land from mining industry. Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I wrote an article about this case, so if you need a comprehensive argument, you can ask the committee about my article. I just want to show some picture about this movement, and we can discuss it further. This is the picture of people from Kendang movement. Kendang is part of the Java island in Indonesia, the most populated island in Indonesia. They cemented their feet for 2 weeks to protest the cement plant operation in their area. There are interesting geopolitical contexts since 2004, I think. China has closed down half of their cement factory and moved the investment abroad, especially to the Southeast Asian countries. Indonesia is one of the weakest among other countries in Southeast Asia in terms of caste protection regulation. So our government get it as opportunity that we can produce more cement to export or for the currency purpose. Since 2006, there are many national and multinational companies that propose building a cement factory in Indonesia. This is the Kendang area. Natural resource conflicts have significantly characterized the process of decentralization and democratization in post-New Order Indonesia. These conflicts have taken the new dynamics in the strategies that local peasant communities and other elements of civil society have devised to respond to the state's project of development and industrialization. Various peasant communities have transformed themselves from locally based farmers who are concerned mainly with agricultural practice to become a new social and environmental movement who is engaged in various issues and on sustainable agricultural production against local government and private sectors. The North Kendang Mountains are part of the three major limestone mountains in Java. This hill extends to the northern part of the island of Java. It covers thousands of square kilometers, stretching from central Java to the tip of the island of Madura in East Java. Characteristic of rocks that are easily dissolved by rainwater, the left is the side of the karst area, forming the number of caves and underground rivers. Therefore, these hills have been part of the important place that supply water to millions of people who inhabit them, especially for Java, the most populated island in Indonesia. This is how the cement companies operated. There are many cement companies Thailand, SCC, and then this is from Germany, hydroxide, and this is the Borneo or Kalimantan. There are many companies from China will be operated there. Back to the Tandang area. This region has changed from the original peace to a region of turmoil due to the battle of two development models. Since 2006, farmers who idealize natural sustainability have found a number of large mining companies that wish to open mines for cement companies. Mining politicians suspect to be part of connection to the death of many people in East Java. The National Commission for Human Rights did some investigation. The result that maybe there are some connection, but they didn't get any data about it because the health facility on that area don't show us any data on that case. So the cement company in Indonesia use the big media in Indonesia to show what kind of idea of prosperity that they want to give to the local people. From the media ownership perspective, this map produced by Melina Lim in 2012 shows that there are only 17 media rich men in Indonesia that host any kind of media in Indonesia. And I just brought a good book. I don't know if it okay. Written by Ross Tapsel, Media Power in Indonesia. He said that where a multi-party democracy exists, media owners form political parties and politicians start media companies in order to enhance their political capital. So the Kendang movement realized that it's hard to go to the office room of the big media. So they create I think it's quite interesting way to make a breakthrough. They produce a herbal tree to show that Kendang area is not suitable for the cement company. This area is so fertile area that can be good as agricultural purpose. So they produce the herb, and this is the one of the leader, Bakunati. And when they start to protest the cement company, there are some NGO. There are many urban middle class that try to give them support. That the company in Indonesia can't do the harmful operation in the area. So our friend in Germany invited us to give a speech in front of the stakeholder meeting of Cement in Germany. In May 8th last year, there are two connected protests in the same time. This picture is held in front of the Heidelberg meeting in Germany, and this protest held in Jakarta in front of the German embassy. They can see each other through the WhatsApp video call. So, based on this experience, the local people in Kendeng can get the atmosphere, how their friend, or their brother, or their sister, they call it like their family, that's connected by earth, try so hard to talk to the company to cancel the operation in Kendeng area. And also to our German allies, they feel like they're so have a strong connection with what the case that they join in advocacy. But Ms. Gunardi says that we live in the same earth, we drink the same water. So we just son or daughter of this earth. So by this movement, the local people realize that they can reach any countries with the different languages, with the different culture, with this media, with this digital media. This is my conclusion. The restriction of critical digital media usage will increase due to the conspiracy among the economic and media oligarchs in the legal political structure. Intersectionality will be the main issue of the environmental movement that encountering the people from different groups that related to each other through what the Sami community call earthware. Sami community is the main part of this movement. They has a long history of resistance since colonial era in Indonesia. They started since 1880 till now, and they organized the NGO. They didn't organize by own NGO, but they organized the NGO and the public intellectual to do, they call it lecture by people. So they did public lecture in many universities in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Sovereign, for inspiring the situation, the presentation. I will continue for the next speaker, and then we come back for the question and answer later. The next speaker is Tessa Melvin. He's an independent researcher. He's going to talk about the access to electricity in Dawei City, implication of transforming public sphere in Myanmar.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for giving the chance to present my paper in this event. So this is my research paper. So we just briefly introduce about the Myanmar. So Myanmar is a diverse and currently politically complex country. But since 2010, there's been a significant transition from the authoritarian military regime to a semi-civilian government. So the 2008 constitution, so this transition based on the 2008 constitution, so which partly decentralized the government and including established 7 regions and 7 states, so total 14 sub-national units. And then after that, the government started the liberalization process, so releasing the political prisoners, abolishing the media censorship, and also permitting civil society to form the organization through the legal framework. So In the meantime, armed conflict is still happening in the country, so particularly in ethnic states, so ongoing peace negotiation process and federalism. But Myanmar is a perfect example of hybrid region. So what I mean, the hybrid region is the combination of democratic and authoritarian elements, not fully authoritarian region, as well as also genuine democracy. So the military state takes the political roles and new structure constitutionally, so such as sitting 25% in both union and regional parliament, as well as taking key ministerial posts such as Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Ministry of Border Affairs. So back civil society's attempts to maintain the accountability of the state and name state actors achievement through various formal and informal means. So in India, public sphere, which is defined as a discursive arena where civil society can communicate and deliberate their opinions on key society issues. So the deliberation of public sphere circulates within the mass media, social media, as well as in public forum and other venues. So it's expected that those in political authority will respond meaningfully to issues raised by civil society within public sphere. So overall, it appears that civil political and media freedoms necessary for active civil society and vibrant public sphere are increasingly challenged. So the purpose of this paper is to understand the actual existing public sphere in Myanmar, particularly post-2010. So the work of civil society to ensure the accountability of the state and influential non-state actor. So in this paper, I choose the electricity supply in Tawai as a case study. So because the electricity in Tawai is one of the biggest challenges, as well as emphasizing the emergence of political civil society groups, local people and political parties and activists organize social movement such as signature campaign, poster campaign, and protests to claim for the electricity supply chain from diesel engine to gas turbines. So the key events were between 2014 and 2017. So this is the conceptual framework of my paper. So particularly I explore the existing public sphere in Myanmar after 2010. So how the political structure change create the public sphere for the Myanmar, and how civil society and media exercise this space so to deliberate their voice and consent so for public issues, and how there was formed communicative action and which leads to the accountability of the government. So main findings and analysis. So public sphere and the electricity issue under the SLORC and SPDC period from 1988 to 2010. So the military-led government generally allowed and attempted to block any space where public debate and disagreement over state policy could be all covered. So the government also created the organizations such as Union of Myanmar, Chamber and Commerce Industry, Rights Makers and Rights Merchants Association, Border Trade Merchant Association, Women Affairs Organization. So this organization operate under this the SLORC and SPDC period, but this is we cannot go civil society groups. This is like government organized association. So government intentionally use this organization to manipulate their operation as well as to control and monitor the societies. So people under this period, people stay under the highly suppression of civil and political freedom. So imposing censorship on media and freedom of expression by the military region. So they could not speak out their concerns and criticism on the government actions and decisions. But local businessmen had regular communication with the local authorities, so which might influence on the local government actions and decisions. As well as the local government also responded on the interests of the lobbyists, and then they claimed that they responded on the public concerns wise. So public sphere and electricity issue under the USDP government after 2010, so between 2010 and 2015, this period. So the transition from military region to Western civilian government. so but military involved in the politics. So people, even though the transition started in 2010, so people in Myanmar could briefly talk about the public issues only after 2012. So what happened in 2012? In 2012, so the major opposition political parties, National League for Democracy Party, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, completely in the by-election and took 43 seats in Union Parliament. As well as the government started to release a large number of political prisoners in 2012, as well as abolish the pre-submitted censorship for the media, as well as pass the peaceful assembly law. So, however, even in this law, there's the restrictions. So civil society groups and politically conscious people in the way started to talk about the electricity issue to find the solutions since 2013. And then civil society group organized the sticker campaign and protests, mobilizing the general public in the way, involving over 1,000 people in the protests in the way 2014. So they claim for the resource rights and for the electricity price because since around 1990, so the military government extracted natural gas in the way, but until 2014, people in the way did not access electricity by those natural gas. So this natural gas is only transported to the mainland as well as transported to export to Thailand. So in this event, volunteer groups, activist groups, local NGOs, and members from 88 generation involved in this event. But after 2010, even though the government started the liberalization process and passed the legal frameworks to allow to some extent about civil and political freedom, so people even passing this legal framework doesn't empower the people to speak about their issues because people still have fear about to speak loud about their issues. So the political parties and political activists could encourage people to speak out their regional issues. So for example, Aung San Suu Kyi came to Dawei and cheered the local people in 2012. So a student leader for 88 generation groups, so Kumbin Kunai gave a public speech in the campaign event for the constitutional amendment in 2014. So this kind of event contribute to empower the people to speak out their issues and concerns. So public campaign, so meeting with the government, media coverage, the projects, these kind of events were held at the same time. So regional government started to respond, but they started informally invited the leaders from this movement and discussed how to deal with it. So subsequently, regional government, regional parliament adopted the medium and small electricity production and distribution law in 2014. So according to this law, the electricity supply plan was changed. So after 2015, the expectation of the people on the NLD government has been largely increased. So not only for the reform, but also for the civil and political freedoms. So civil society groups expected more engagement with the government, so removing the legal restrictions on the functions of civil society. But NLD could not remove the constraints and kept influenced by local power holders on the civil and political freedoms. So in addition, there can be seen the potential attempts by the NLD government to control the functions of civil society groups, as well as subnational government also trying to limit the public sphere in which the people can criticize the government policies and decisions. For example, the performance of anti-formal chants by the local people, which is satirical singing, so included the critique on the government and the public issues, were not allowed to perform in the central stage of the Dawei and Weather Festival in April 2018. And also the government also informed the citizens to submit the contents and works in advance to perform this anti-formal chanting. As well as the regional government sued the Tanana Weekly Journal by the media law for this type of article. So CSO exercised the government power to check the state through the existing space. So they use social media, particularly Facebook. They create the groups, so named the word Hita. So Hita means a stand for the people to air their grievance and voice allowed to hear by the king. So which was used in the monarchy period. As well as they used local newspaper, regional parliament, so which became the communicative channel. among the civil society groups organization, the perspective of the groups were profoundly divided after 2015, so which also affected on the activities of the civil society groups. So, for example, this is the quote from the interview with civil society group. So the standpoint of many civil society groups between 2010 and 2015 was to give a pressure to the government, so by choosing the confrontational way. So, but after 2015, it was changed into engagement and discussion with the government instead of confrontational way. So the NLD party also issued a statement to their party member to restrict to engage with civil society groups. So this is also the second one is also the quote from the Radio Free Asia. So the interview with the spokesman of NLD party. So and also the Upper House, the Mueller passed the amendment of the Free Enough Process and Assembly in early 2018. So which include the need to provide information about the budget and source of funds for organizing the protests or organizing the social movement. And also it includes harsh penalties. So anyone who is found guilty for persuading others intentionally to disrupt security, rule or transparency by providing money or material support. So this was the attempt of imposing threat to those who support the social movement, because usually this movement need the results. So although legal constraints were not much different at the USDP government and enemy government, but the civil society groups and local people were careful and had self-censorship to criticize the current government because the current government have largely public support. And also civil society groups take care of their activities and ways to avoid anti-democracy or pro-military or pro-USDP. So according to the dominant political ideology in current situation. So conclusion. So the accountability of the state is measured the responsibility of the authority to the people. So it should also be considered for both the process and outcome. So in the case of the electricity issue in the way, decentralized government did not initiate the reform for electricity supply by gas, though they were transferred power to make a decision on policy until the social movement was all covered in 2014. And also similarly under the new government, so after 2015, which was received a large support by the people. So however, the government did not hold accountable to the citizens without attempting the accountability power to state through the public sphere. So the regional government responded on the public interest. So because of civil society groups could mobilize the general people to give enough pressure to the government. So the public sphere allows the civil society to raise the public issue and to communicate to the state through multiple channels. So as well as the decentralized government respond to public demand through their deliberative channels. So these actions form the communicative action contributing that the government accountable to the citizen. So the public sphere can also contribute to the accountability of the government by allowing the civil society and the people through forming the communicative action. So in the case of Myanmar, public sphere is not only the elements of democracy, but also the space to make the government accountable to the citizens. So thank you.
Thank you. This is kind of like an example that we can see things that happen at the local level, actually very local level, and we probably didn't see much in the news, even we are neighbors. Okay. Another issue, another case study from Vinci Unsen, also something that I just heard when I met her. It's about the Baram. The organization is Baram Gini that work on the advocate on the anti-Baram Gini Baram Dam. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I will present kind of like a case sample, case sharing, based on my own experience as a social activist or the freelance journalist, or you also call the roadshow coordinator. Yeah, I have the brand. Okay, so so my title is the multi-pronged approach, reflecting and reflecting the anti-Zen protest movement in Baram. Thank you. So let's do some geography study. Where's Baram? Baram lies in north of Sarawak
Peninsula. So Sarawak is the largest state among the 13 states in Malaysia. So Sarawak is renowned for its rich yet unique ethnic characteristic, culture and diversity language. The indigenous people live along rivers in the inland area, which is rich with resources and coexist with Mother Nature. But the monstrosity of the development undermined their peaceful life within a very short period of time. So, the Sarawak corridor of new renewable energy we call SCORE. So what the Sarawak government tells us, SCORE is the advantages of this special economic zone in that it has abundant natural resources, including high value and competitive energy such as 20,000 megawatts of the hydroelectricity power plants, 14.6 billion metric tons of coal and natural gas. So in order to attract the manufacturing and the industrial companies, Sarawak relies heavily on producing cheap electricity. So under the SCORE plan, the Sarawak state government plans to complete the 12 mega dams before the year 2020. So the attractive, renewable, and always emphasized by the SCORE is an inaccurate description as exploitation of coal reserve, construction of new coal power plants, and deforestation from oil palm plantation expansion are part of the SCORE plan also. So under the front of the development, unseen damage are done to the community. So before I go to the Baram that I mentioned, let's give some pictures on how the mega dams affected the community and the resources. The Bakun Dam, which produced 2,400 megawatt of energy, was put into, and this 250-meter high dam, apart from China, is also the largest dam in Asia. So it is like flooded 700 square kilometers of land and made 10,000 people homeless. So even the purpose of the mega dam is to supply the power, but indigenous community are still not getting treated water and power supply despite living near the mega dam. So the protest against the Bakun Dam started in 8 days. The NGOs called Suara, which means the voice of the Malaysian people, formed in 87 with monitoring and reporting the human rights violation in Malaysia and the region. So the same year, at least 2 of the NGOs activists were arrested and detained under the ISA, Internal Security Act, which allows detention without trial for their anti-Bakun Dam activities earlier. So the struggle movement is far away from the city and peninsula, so the message cannot be effectively transmitted to the public society to get support and end up with the movement. So let's tell about Baram. So now is the 21st century, the protest movement can be more diversified. Baram Dam, the site of the dam is 250 kilometers inland from Miri, the second largest city in Sarawak. So once the Baram Dam was built, it will flood the 412 square kilometers. Actually, they say it's like the size of Singapore. So at least 26 indigenous villages, forcing more than 20,000 indigenous people to leave their land. So the disappearance of the forest means that the indigenous people will lose the place for which they have lived for generations, and the natural ecology of Sarawak will be severely damaged. The dam construction project by the state government required to use the community land, but even if the land has been cleared, it is carried out without the knowledge of the community. So until the local community discovered it, they formed NGOs called Baram Protection Action Committee. They collect the opinions from the multiple communities and express their view of not wanting the dam to the government. So since many villages in Barams are remote and inaccessible, the indigenous use oral communication to pass the information to another. So because of that, it took years for this issue of Baram Dam to be conveyed, and it gradually became known to most people. So at the same time, it also got the attention and support from the international NGOs, which like the International Rivers, Bruno Manso Fund, and the Borneo Project, and etc. So in 2013, Local NGOs brought together more than 300 local indigenous people, like the pictures that you see now, who were rallied in Kuching and meet the International Hydropower Association biannual conference. So such operation had led to the Malaysian media to create some news reporting, but it's only for a short-lived one. Only few media are willing to spend time and money to go into the inland of Baram to conduct a detailed report. So instead, it's a report by foreign media, which makes foreigners more aware about the anti-dam protest movement, like Sarawak report. So, in order to effectively spread the news of the anti-Baram Dam protest, to raise the awareness of public and receive support and assistance from the citizens of West Malaysia, Baram Kini, a volunteer NGOs, were formed in 2013 and henceforth promoting through various methods. So Baram Kini promotes their ever-long stand against the building of the dam via Facebook, WordPress, and also YouTube. So I'm one of the freelance journalists who make the report. So I entered to the interior during the period of the protests and blockade set by the people of Baram, film an interview and protest, and post the voice of the people online, which is overlooked by the mainstream media. However, the internet can only allow us to communicate to the public in a one-way direction. So-called the like clicks or the comment buttons are not directly itself an effective communication method. So Baram Kini held a photo exhibition and sharing section in several malls in the city. So through the pictures of the beautiful mountains and rivers, this was able to attract the attention of the masses. And during tour session, the public was made aware of the anti-dam protest movement and occurrence of such event happened in East Malaysia. And also the sharing section. In addition to the photo exhibition, Baram Kini also organized the cultural sharing session and also invite the Baram folks to perform their traditional music performance like sape and then cultural sharing, so the masses grabbed the opportunity to understand the situation faced by the Baram people. We often face various opinions and feedback when communicating with the public. Some people have no knowledge about the problem faced by the indigenous in Sarawak, even in the peninsula, and some still might think that the dam development is something good which should not prevent indigenous people from accepting development and so on. So only through face-to-face communication we can understand the ideas of the public and at the same time the opportunity to raise their awareness and understanding of the indigenous. So, in Baram, long houses are separated by the vast distance and communication has been difficult between villages. So some villages are not properly informed of the trace of their properties and their rights should the proposed mega dam be built. Villages are not given the opportunity to discuss these issues and voice their opinions. Police still have been consulted over the construction of the mega dam. Therefore, we organize a fundraising for Stop Baram Dam Human Rights Workshop, which is get the money from the public, and then make the workshop team is made up with the residents from Sungai Absabulan, where the victims that I mentioned just now from Bakun Dam that already been settled, and together with the Stop Baram Dam activists. So we go around the interior of Baram to share the disaster experienced by the Bakun Dam victims and also give the human rights education. So in the last few years, we organized the peaceful assembly and the human rights awareness campaign, blockade traveling exhibition, and extensive discussion online to convey the message that Baram folks do not want the dam. So other than that, we have the professional team, expert team to do the fact-finding mission report, which done in 2014, and one of the writer, which is now based in the hall, so is Tanya. Yeah, and then in 2015 June, so the civil society, the delegation made up to the professor from the university and the local NGOs and the state assemblymen to present the result to the former chief minister at the time for the alternative way to replace the mega dams. So after the long time struggle, we believe that under pressure of the masses and the coming up of the state election on May 2016, the state government aware that the dam issue will affect the votes. So on February, before the state election, the late Sarawak Chief Minister Adnan has revoked the gazette of using Ulu Barang Red and the construction of the dam. So this announcement was deemed a victory by the Barang people, but until now, there's still no official announcement. There's no black and white. And even the Deputy Chief Minister James Massing threatened the Barang people who did not accept them with no dam, no road. So he said that that's why I am committed to making sure that the Balai Dam, which is after the Barang, was built, otherwise there will be no road. So Barang people dare not take it lightly, and there's still people defending in the two blockade side. So regardless, the fight of the anti-dam is by the far most successful case for the indigenous in Sarawak. The success of stopping the dam from being constructed has support and help from many parties. But the most important is that the determination of the local people, that's what they want or they don't want. So where there is a will, there is a way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At least we have some sample of the successful fighting to stop. Even we're not sure yet in how the long that we can see this to stop the dam. Okay, I would like to invite if you have any question or comments. The floor is yours. Yep, Carl, please.
I had a short question for Lindsay. You mentioned that mainstream media was ignoring aspects of the story. Why is that?
Basically, I'm like most in the Chinese media, because I'm from Chinese media, the tycoon of the logging, which is exploited the land in Sarawak, is all Chinese. And then they are also the press of the boss also. So there's a conflict. So they only can publish kind of the cultural issues, but not the academic issues.
Yeah, please.
Again, same to Lindsay. In light of Malaysia's recent election,
Yes.
has the atmosphere been a bit more open and receptive to this kind of addressing these kind of issues, or did the political change didn't make any difference in your view?
Not really, because before the election, we will think that there will be hope. But after the election, within the 100 days, we think that there's a hope for us to cancel all the destruction of the project. But since there's 5 months already, so the so-called new government is same as we call it Barisan Nasional 2, is doing the same thing. Yeah. So we still monitoring on that.
Yes, Julian.
Yeah, I think that was a great presentation, and I just wanted to add a couple of things, but also get your sort of thoughts on it, Vinci. Is that I think there are some really key differences between what happened there and what we're seeing with the large-scale dams in the Mekong region. And one of the things I think that was really incredible about this particular case was that both the people who were affected, the indigenous people, but then pretty much the sort of families of the people who were being affected. Some of the young generation was based in the cities, and based, for example, in KL. And so you had quite a lot of back and forth between the urban and the rural areas, and then on top of that, you had a broader movement within the capitals, within KL, and that also included really highly creative sort of protests that, using the sort of umbrella technique of going out with words on your umbrella, and a lot of other things that happened, which I think created a really different environment for pushing politically and that political leverage. So I'd be interested in your thought on that. And secondly, I just wanted to also share a second part of that whole story, which is another success about an economic corridor into Indonesia. The indigenous people, the same people who fought against the Baram Dam, then mobilized in coordination with Indonesians to say that they did not want Indonesians using electricity from land that was stolen and that was taken and they had been displaced from. And it happened that those transmission lines were being financed by the Asian Development Bank. So there was a whole another campaign that came out of, that basically took that joined on the energy of this BAM campaign and brought forward with people going to, with actually some of the village people and some of the young people going and speaking out at the Asian Development Bank in Manila. And eventually, for now, that investment, that basically there was all, because of sort of similar issues around corruption, that there were questions around corruption and that the Asian Development Bank decided in the end that they didn't go forward with financing that project. So it's a double success.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Any question or comments? Is this also, yeah, please.
ไม่รู้ว่าพูดภาษาไทยได้หรือเปล่า
That,
I mean, you have to maybe
try English, not so many people can.
โอเค
I mean,
Okay, ได้ค่ะ yeah, you can speak Thai, sorry.
because I can speak English not ผมกำลังคิดว่าไอ้ public space เนี่ยทางหนึ่งเนี่ยมันทำให้หลายๆคนเข้าถึงหรือไปสื่อสารกับผู้คนได้แต่อีกทางหนึ่งเนี่ยมันถูกปิดกั้นด้วยโอเคI will Thai English okay I have some case in Loi Province in Thailand about public space villagers try to protect themselves from the pollution from coal mine in Loi Province. They try to communicate to our government, via public sphere in media, but in many cases, they was pursued by company, income company. They pursue villager. In the case something like with the law and computer crime act and defamation law. I think this event is okay. We try to open public sphere for communication, but in other side, government try to limit you to communicate. Exclude villager from public sphere. I think that when I talk English, I can. Yeah. They have two sides. One side, you can communicate to your government, but in other side, government or company try to take you away from public sphere. Okay, I try to what is thank you.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like the example that happened like in Thailand, as Ajahn Vishian also mentioned, is about the gold mining in Loi province, which is they already stand fighting for almost 10 years. And many of them, when they try to protect our community, they face crime acts or by defamation. So there's still continue after. So the idea is about, okay, they try to open up the public sphere by bringing the case, raise awareness to the larger public. But they also face some kind of a consequence. This is another side of the fighting. Yeah.
And I, okay. ช่วยแปลหน่อยนิดนึง
ได้ค่ะ
มันมีความพยายามที่จะไม่ให้ชาวบ้านหรือผู้ได้รับผลกระทบเนี่ยเข้าถึงพระภิกษุเทียนนี้ได้ โดยวิธีการก่อนหน้านี้ของไทยเราเนี่ยก็จะเหมือนกับฟิลิปปินส์หรือเหมือนกับเวียดนามก็คือใช้วิธีการฆ่าหรือการข่มขู่นะฮะในการที่เข้าถึงแต่ตอนนี้ประเทศไทยเราเนี่ยกำลังใช้วิธีการนึงก็คือการฟ้องร้องด้วยเพื่อที่จะไม่ให้เข้าถึงการใช้สิทธิตรงนี้โอเค
There's an attempt to exclude the people from public sphere. In the past, there was some, in the Philippines, there was some death threat, but in Thailand, we are using legal procedure to exclude the people from public sphere.
Here, okay, this is also the case that happened in Thailand. And anyone have the question? We probably have like the 5 minutes for the before we end this panel. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, based on our experience, communication is the most important thing in the advocacy. It is okay if sometimes we fight or debate in the conflictual relationship. It proves that there are space of communication. It will be bad if there is no space. So there is no chance to get more chance to get a better relation. People in Kendeng try to materialize what kind of politics. So sometimes they say that there is no state. They're only people who sitting in the position of the president and the minister, the local government. So as long as we can communicate with the person, so we have a chance to change the rule of the law. So it's like make the politics more humanistic approach, so we can get talk to them as person. It was a good experience when the mother of our enemies died, and then we went to their house and give we said we give like
the last moment, my last respect.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. So, and since then, our relation better, unless we can talk to each other, even we still have in the bad relation. So I think how to create this space of communication as a person, the other actor is a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also want to inform you. Actually, the movement have kind of like a very famous documentary filmmaker that you can find from YouTube experience. That also made by the independent filmmaker that they're feeling the struggle, the fighting of the community. And one of the issues probably go international media is when the women in the community, they put their legs in the cement there. Like it's a kind of like the fighting for how the cement change their movement. So this is kind of like the strong symbolic, and they have bring some artistic element in the movement. There's also some of the interesting. Invite you to search on YouTube. You probably learn more about the Gendang movement. Okay. Any question? I think I can give one last question or any comment from Tessa, because we have kind of like had opportunity to hear something that happened at the local level. Like this is something inside Myanmar and happened at the regional in Myanmar.
I want to share just quickly about the current debate about civil society in Myanmar. So before 2015, so and the USDP is the military-backed political parties. So they started the transition, and at this period, people support and back civil society groups because they would like to for the democratic reform. But after 2015, so when NLD became the power, so the debate is like General Moon mentioned this morning, civil society is sometimes issue-based, as well as they represent one group of people. So they cannot represent every issue or the whole nation. But political party is trying to represent the whole nation, the whole society. So at the time, civil society questioning this, the government questioning to the civil society, so do you really represent the people? So then they're trying to approach the people directly. So as well as currently the political party has legitimacy better than the previous regime. So as well as because of the struggle for democratic reform many years, so a lot of people still support parties. So at that time, even the people who support the parties, the NLD also some do not participate to some kind of social movement or event to confront the government. So at the time, this day also the currently debate and also had the question by myself. So how we were trying to civil society trying to make sure we really represent the group of people that we targeted, and also how we will make sure the government also accepted we are really representing this group of people. As well, on the other hand, so civil society also trying to issue big policies. That's why they cannot. It's not impossible to represent the whole nations or focus every issue.
Yeah. Thank you, Tessa. I think this is kind of like the word that can ending the panel well, ending this session well. I think we're gonna, before we move to the next session, we have the coffee break, about 15 minutes. And just inform you, the next session, we also provide a translation kit. Then please bring it, if you need it. And the next session, one of our speakers will present in Thai. So please. Yeah. Thank you.